Sorry, just laughing at James because he's buying Ariana Grande tickets. He doesn't even have kids, just going on his own. Hello and welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. More clean sheets in the laundry here. Joining me for your first appearance since post-Europa League final.
There you go.
Is David Sims. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Only here for the big games.
Exactly. Thanks for having me back.
And you've not seen this man, Jake Sanders, since he had his top off.
He has actually.
Well, he
Were
was
you not on the morning after the Europa?
Yeah,
I was.
when you had your top off.
You were on the screen. You weren't in the studio, were you?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, when we saw you with your top off.
Do you know what? I saw a guy in the concourse before the game. He had his top off
Before a game?
on Tuesday,
Were you at Newcastle?
and I thought, oh, that is that's not even something that I would do.
And everyone was going, he's doing the Jake.
I was
Yeah,
like,
doing
no,
the Jake.
no.
That's weird, taking your top off before a game.
He was just sort of building the atmosphere. You know, it was that South Stand meet.
There wasn't much atmosphere, which we'll come to
He
very
didn't even
shortly.
welcome me. He didn't even welcome me.
You're not welcome.
Am I not welcome?
You're not welcome. No. All right, Simo, not seen you since that great the morning after the night before. A lot has happened since then. Ange is gone. Frank is in. Not just touching on Tuesday night, an overview of what's your thoughts?
Generally pretty positive, I'd say. Look, I like Frank. I think he's very down to earth. He seems like a people's person. He builds relationships well. He develops players, kind of everything that you want from a manager. I think he's also a safe choice in terms of he's not going to rock the boat with any kind of senior hierarchy or anything like that. But I do think it's really exciting that we've got a bit of tactical flexibility now in the different games that we've played. We've seen him switch formations. We've seen him kind of approach games differently. I also do like the fact that, I'm sure we'll come on to it again, but, we kept another clean sheet. It's a big focus for us at the moment. And it's a bit of a sea change in that regard. So, yeah, I think definitely positive signs. Some slightly, I say, not concerning signs, but I'd say there's a few little things that we need to address. But I do think he's the sort of person that is aware enough to be able to go and address those things.
Transfer window? Because this is what I've asked everybody, and everyone's saying the same thing. Are we short here, or are we short there, or are you happy?
I think you speak to any fan, and every fan will tell you that they're a bit short after a window.
Every window, every fan wants more.
Yeah, every fan, exactly. But what I would say is that if you told me before the window started that you were going to sign 4 players that will immediately go in and strengthen our first team, would I be happy with that? And I'd say, well, that's different to every other window that we've had where we're signing squad players and young talent that's going to come for the future. Whereas, in Palhinha and Kudus and Xavi and Kolo, we're actually signing players for now that are going to go straight into that first team and make us more competitive. So I think in that front, pretty pleased. Would have liked to have seen a proper left winger, so Xavi Simons.
Is that the hole? Is that the one that was short?
I think so, because I think we were all crying out for a fullback, but Spence and Udogie rotating that, or then Spence and Porro and Davies can come in. I think there's enough there to get us through to January.
Yeah. I am listening, but I've just realised I forgot to pay for parking, so I'm going to do that while
There
we're
you
talking.
go. Make sure you pay. You can park on my drive.
I could have parked on your drive, but I didn't.
So yeah, I do think generally pretty positive off the back of that window.
You mentioned left wing. I reckon about an hour less, maybe half an hour into Tuesday night was the first time it struck me that Son's not here anymore. I don't know why it took me that long. There was a moment where we kept passing it down the left, and we'll come on to Xavi Simons in a minute, but he's not like a touchline winger, nor is Son really. But I didn't think much of their right back.
Before we forget, on the topic of Son,
yeah,
scored a hat-trick overnight.
Scored a hat-trick, yeah. Well, there you go.
Beautiful hat-trick as well.
Have you missed him yet?
To be honest, I haven't thought about him.
Have you not?
Really, I haven't. Not as in, I haven't watched us and thought, I really wish we had Son out there, because as sad as it is, my lasting memory of Son is him lifting the Europa League. But on the pitch, the last 18 months, he's not really been at any sort of level, despite some goals in Ange's first season, really since Kane left. And even Kane's last season, he was quite, the last time we saw, without going on a tangent about Son, the last time we saw the best of Son was probably 21-22 under Conte. So it was more, I wish we signed someone rather than, I wish we didn't, You know, what would Son have been like on Tuesday, for example, or not at West Ham?
I felt there was
I don't know.
Certainly Tuesday, I just felt there was a bit of space to go at a fullback.
I don't think that was Son's game.
No,
really,
I mean,
by the end of it, was it?
Yeah, I agree.
We saw it in that game against Elfsborg. I know we've mentioned that before, and it was fucking
Villarreal do play in yellow.
Villarreal do play. Oh, were Elfsborg in yellow?
Oh yeah,
No, Gareth Dace messaged me. Zimbru played in yellow.
it's because Adam was saying about teams in yellow.
Did
weren't
Elfsborg play in yellow?
I think they did.
I don't think they did.
Well, I know their fans were all in yellow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a look.
because they're Swedish.
We also playing.
Good tifo, by the way. Talking of
Great
yellow.
tifo.
Great tifo.
Really good
I really
tifo.
like seeing that up against the Arsenal. The Arsenal. We've got a tifo. You've got a tea towel. Elfsborg did play in yellow. All right,
Yeah, it is brilliant. That is one thing. You know, we all give the club a lot of stick, but that THFC flags, is it on Twitter?
Yeah, it's superb.
Amazing work.
Yeah.
That I saw a picture on Twitter last night of the 4 tifos we've done. I can't remember what games they are. One must have been at the Champions League games under Poch, but they're always unbelievable. They're always amazing, and I was standing in it, so I couldn't see
What about the pricing?
it as well.
There's so many empty seats on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I could see. I knew that top bit was going to be empty, and it's just not a great look. It doesn't really change the atmosphere. You know, a few thousand more people. It's just not a good look because, you know, I know it's Villarreal. I know it's not a Bayern Munich or Barcelona, but it's our first Champions League game for 3 years, and you know, it just sort of it just doesn't look nice. I never like our stadium really ever. When you know we've never really had that ever since I've gone to Spurs. Every home game is pretty much a sellout. And I remember it was the same against Marseille and Frankfurt a few years ago. It looks horrible, and it shouldn't be like that.
It doesn't help when the away fans total about 45.
Oh yeah, there was about 200 of them.
Yeah,
That was astonishing.
that doesn't help with atmosphere. There's nothing to bounce off. It all just felt a little bit flat, but
Pre-match was quite good.
yeah.
But do you know what though? We're obviously going to get into it, and I know that you know we all want the atmosphere to be a bit better, but that they have to give something to fans back on the pitch. And you know, I didn't really have anything to. I wasn't. You know, I left the ground and thought, I don't think I was excited once tonight. Even the goal, I was up the other end and couldn't really tell it was in until the cheers.
Yeah.
So it was like a half celebration.
Strange old goal. Well, let's start with the lineup. We knew there was going to be one change because Tell wasn't in the Champions League squad. So we lined up with 4-3-3, Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven and Spence, Bergval, Bentancur and Sarr, Kudus, Richarlison and Simons. So from West Ham, Bentancur came in for Palhinha.
2 changes.
Richarlison came in for Tell.
Good
Yeah.
night for Tell on Tuesday, actually.
Well, because the forwards did nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was well. Other than I expected Palhinha to play, if I'm honest with you. I know that Bergval has got a lot of promise, and you know his time will come. But I thought that in that sort of game, I thought he was going to play Palhinha. I think the rest was expected. Simons was going to go out on the left, and then Richarlison was going to, having been rested, was going to come back into that starting lineup. So not overly surprised, other than Palhinha.
Maybe a Dogie. Some form, maybe.
I don't know.
It did feel like Brighton, Doncaster, and Wolves. 2 of them feels like a Dogie will play 2 of them.
George Pena asked at the top in our comments, and we'll come to Brighton shortly. We're going to talk to Adam Virgo, Spurs fan, ex-Brighton player, but he was like, did we make 4 changes on Saturday? Do you think we're going to start seeing more rotation now?
I don't know. I do feel like just because of the quality we've got in the middle that we're going to constantly see changes in the middle because, you know, we've got if Siemens eventually comes centrally, we've got 4 centre midfielders technically for 2 roles: Bentancur, Palhinha, Bergval, and Sarr, and they're all fine to start games. So I just think that's going to be constantly.
But don't you think that you saw how important Palhinha was when he came on? And to be honest, Sarr has pretty much made himself undroppable the way he started this season. So really, it's just kind of one for the other, you know, one other in those 2. Because I just think that those 2 are so important to the way that we're going to play at the moment. Just give us that protection and that whole kind of.
It's a nice problem to have. It's rare for us Spurs fans to sit here and go, I actually don't know who he's going to pick. You know, under Poch.
But in a good way.
But in a good,
you know that they're coming in. It's not like we're going to get a Harry Winks or a Stephen Bergwijn coming
under
in.
Poch, you could pick the starting 11. Literally.
Well, at one point we had sort of 12, didn't we? 13. It was maybe a fullback.
And the
it was maybe a Son or an Eriksen. Or
But now, trying to predict a Spurs lineup, it is a good thing. But is anybody really that good enough to literally go, well, you're, other than the centre halves and the goalkeeper, is anybody that good enough right now to go, well, you're starting?
Well, I said to my mate when we were sort of discussing the team on the way, I said there was... Richarlison counts as a pretty much guaranteed just by default moment, but there's 6, isn't there? You know, the 2 centre-backs, Vicario, Kudus, Simmons, and probably Porro. I know Porro's not everyone's cup of tea, but Porro plays every game.
Wow.
He might not end up starting Saturday, fine, but pretty much, you know, since we've signed him, every single game Porro starts.
And this is the big question. Jay Keaveney says, if Xavi played in the middle, who drops out? Because I think Xavi Simons' best position is in the middle.
Yeah. So do I. I think that was clear from the other night as well.
Yeah, he's not a winger. He can play out there.
Well, it's one or two things, isn't it? It's either Colomani's not up to scratch and he's not massively fancying Brennan Johnson, or is he being a little bit more pragmatic and wants that extra defensive body in the middle?
I think he wants to play 3 central midfielders at the moment.
That's a bit of an issue. Is that going to be game by game? You know, is that because we've had West Ham away and then we had first Champions League game and then Brighton? I don't know.
I also think that's just they haven't had that much time to play together.
He's had this squad for a week.
You'd think Wolves at home, perfect time. Don't need them.
We're really good against Wolves at home.
Do you know what I was saying? They're going to come to us with 5 defeats in a row.
No, they've got to win. Is it Leeds on Saturday? They've got a game. I'm really hoping they win on Saturday.
That is one of the fixtures that I dread the most, which is
weird,
a
isn't
bit
it?
of a mad thing. So I'm probably more confident against City than Wolves.
They've got Leeds at home.
Wolves at home is
all right. So we started pretty fast. Siemens had a great hit over the bar, and then Bergvall scored probably one of the goals of the season, without a doubt. I don't know what everyone's laughing about. Hilarious own goal. And then really between then and full time, they had a couple of chances. Mainly when Porro went walkabout at one point in the first half and left their winger.
You say that, but the 3 chances I think all sort of came down were sort of Pepe, weren't they?
No, there was one that we were completely.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And
actually,
then it slid across the box.
Canadian
there was 2 from Pepe. Yes,
Buchanan put it wide.
Yes.
Pepe had a couple. Look, we don't need to dissect the game minute by minute. There wasn't much that happened.
No.
We can't sit here and be too snobby about winning 1-0 in the Champions League. We'd all have taken it. We're 4 from 5. It's 4 clean sheets from 5. The one thing I want to talk about, to start with, it's gone on. We've talked about it on our WhatsApp group. I'm sure every WhatsApp group's been talking about it. Twitter, social media. Even Thomas Frank said it. Are you a little bit concerned? Is the wrong word. I don't want people jumping in on here or in the comments. Oh, stop moaning. What's your problem? Since City away, we've not really created many chances from open play. I'm so here for the set pieces. Like we talked about it on the phone the other day, Simo. That's your extra 1%. You can get an extra 10, 15 points by winning games, by scoring from set pieces. Just not quite creating enough from open play. Is that even Frank said it? Our attacking prowess at the moment is not good enough. A concern, or is it just a case of build from the back first and we'll work it out?
It is a concern to some degree. I think when you've only had 2 shots on target in 2 home games or something like that,
yeah, it's
just or 1 shot on target in the last 2 games. I think.
I don't think did we have 1 against Bournemouth?
No, I don't think we did.
No,
and then we
maybe
had,
one.
We had 1 the other night. So that's not good enough. But all good teams are built on solid foundations, and so that is crucial. I think.
Do you think Ange came in and it felt he went top first? Which we all went, yes, brilliant. We look at how attacking we are now with the rubbish we've had to watch for the last 3 years, but then forgot about the back door.
Yeah, but that was not his focus. And you heard after even the other night when they were talking to Bergvall, and Bergvall said, we've got this clean sheet mentality. They were talking to Van der Ven, and he was saying, look, we all know where we need to be, and there's an organisation, and that's a big focus for us. So clearly that is what they're working on in training, which is great. But yes, we need to be more creative. That being said, we scored 3 against Burnley, 3 against West Ham.
Yeah, but I've sort of said since City, West Ham wasn't all set pieces. West Ham, away from home, maybe it's different. I think the concern is at home. Last 2 games, it's been a bit flat.
It has been, but I think a lot if we look at the other night, for example, and I know we'll probably come on to it a bit more, but I felt with Xavi out there on the left, Spence was kind of driving forward and driving into Xavi's space. And so by the time he was passing to him, he was probably only about 2-3 yards away from him.
He was doing that against West Ham as well.
And closing that space off. And so Simons had nowhere to go. And then it didn't look like he's not really that type of winger that's going to, like Kudus, take on his fullback and beat him that way. So he needs to kind of be running at them, drift past them, kind of find little pockets of space, which is why that chance, even early doors where he blasted it over the bar, a really nice connection. But he was drifted inside, was kind of playing more centrally at that point. So I do want to see Simons play more centrally. I think that will, again, open things up for us. The question is then, who do you play on the left-hand side? And that's going to be the question I think we've all got until January.
Well, Lloyd Becker asked in the comments, do you think we'll sign a left wing? We've got so many forwards. We have so many forwards. When Maddison and Kulusevski come back, if everybody's fit, we've got Maddison, Kulu, Odobert, Koli Muani. I can't even name them.
I think Odebert's nailed on to go out on loan in January.
But weirdly, like Odobert.
He's probably arguably the most natural left side player we've got.
Odobert is probably the one which can take on his fullback, go either way. He's very quick. You see him get back and help defensively as well, because I don't know, there's something about Odobert that I like, that I've seen something in him which I haven't necessarily seen in Tell or Johnson playing off the left.
Yeah, he's got that little burst of pace, hasn't he?
You said to me, Jake, to us in our group, stop moaning. You know I'm not moaning. I know you know that, but you're happy to win 1-0. We're all delighted to win 1-0. God, we don't win 1-0 enough. You're not going to take 38 1-0 wins, are you? Well, you would, but you want to see... No, sorry. We all would.
I actually do have a bit of PTSD when I saw this 4 wins from 5, 4 clean sheets from 5, because that's what we started under, I think,
Nuno.
AVB, weren't it, in 13, 14.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh, God, I hope it's not going down that route.
Sorry, we'll all happily win 1-0 every single week because we'd win everything. But you know what we're saying.
I think that...
You want to be entertained as well.
I think that, as I mentioned to you earlier, a few things will help a lot. One of them is, whether it happens this week or next week, bringing a Dogie back in and a naturally left-footed player, Xavi moving centrally,
2 right-footed
and
players.
Colin Mawani. If that happened on Saturday, for example, and he went for it a bit more, and it was a Dogie, Colin Mawani, who I don't think will start yet, he probably will against Doncaster, and Xavi and Solanke, that makes a big difference, because it feels like, as much as at the moment we've got 11 competent players out, which at times we didn't last season, we're still 3 or 4 players away from probably our best team. Our best team is... I still don't think Spence is probably in our best team, and I'm a massive Spence fan. Xavi Simons is not our best left winger. I don't think the best way to go is to go with those 3 centre midfielders, and Solanke's our best striker. So if we get a few of them...
Is there an argument, though, for Spence over Porro?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I'm a massive Porro fan, but, you know, Spence has been absolutely outstanding this season. You know, he got called up for England. He's now in the conversation for the World Cup. And
I don't know, I just think with Spence, if I remember back a few years when he was at Forest, and that performance in the FA Cup, I think it was against Arsenal, wasn't it? Where he was just rampaging and taking them on and going past them. Now, I know that we're not playing that...
Was he playing right back?
Yeah. He's restricted on the left,
He's restricted on the left, but, I mean, I wonder if Doggy and Spence were playing, whether that would then just create more space.
How often have they started together?
Well, we said, I think it was that one... Well, it was Southampton, yeah. And that was a bit of a, you know, sort of the worst team in the league last season, so it's hard to judge, but... It's because managers will... Ange and Farrat, they love Porro. Because as much as he's not great defensively... He's one of our biggest assets going forward. He's probably our technically is one of our best players.
But I do think he was exposed against Bournemouth, and I think against kind of strong, pacey, wide men like a Semenyo, actually Spence has probably got more tools to deal with that.
Well, he'll be up against Mitoma on Saturday, who could twist him up if he's playing well, Mitoma.
So maybe that's the argument, to bring Spence in and then move Spence over to the other side.
As Adam Flanagan says, he's played so many games. Probably played nearly every game last year. He's back playing for Spain.
I don't think it would be outrageous.
No, it wouldn't be outrageous.
Okay. They're all going to get loads of minutes. We're not going to have, when they're all fit, a period where one of them's out the team for 5, 6, 7 games. I can't see that.
But what I don't want to do is I don't want to rotate heavily in games. You know.
I don't think the fullbacks is technically rotating.
No, I don't think that's much of a problem. But if you're starting to change 3, 4, 5 players in a game, I think you're you become disjointed,
Well, this is
and
what
you don't get that fluidity that
so
you've
this is
got
what
from
I'm saying
playing
about
week in, week out.
Yeah, about the Poch thing. We knew the team. Is it better to know your best team every week? I know you've got loads of games and you have to rotate, but would you rather go, this is a team because they're playing so well? When you start...
Yeah, but I feel like it's a bit different if you've got quality players coming. We always look at like those League Cup games and Europa League games where you make 7 changes and it's completely disjointed.
Yeah.
If on the weekend we put Spence right back, a Dogie left back, and I don't know, Colin Mawani on the left, it shouldn't change the way we play massively. It shouldn't.
You're a big James Maddison fan. A few people on social media were saying we're missing Maddison. Are we missing Maddison, or is it again? It's the system.
I think we'd always be missing a player of that quality, but if Siemens plays in the middle, no. We're missing a number 10, not specifically him, because we're not playing centrally with a creator. You know, Bergval's brilliant, Sarr's brilliant, you know, Bentancur, Palhinha, but none of them have got that real quality, have they? Romero's probably our best passer out there at the moment.
But I think the problem that we had last year was Maddison was coming far too deep.
Yeah.
You know, where he seems to impact the game most is when he's playing higher up. You know, when he's pressing the defenders, or when he's getting that ball in a little bit of space, and then he can slide it through or take a shot himself. You know, he was always really dangerous at Leicester, but he was playing a lot higher up, whereas he seemed to drop a little bit deeper for us, where he just wants to get on the ball and recycle it.
But when we had Seb Stafford-Bloor on, we showed him an image. No, it was John McKenzie, an image of us against Bournemouth, where Van der Ven was on the ball, just a fair bit outside our penalty area, and the next person was in Chick King. Like, there was nobody near him. And John was like, he'd done an article or a piece on The Athletic about how Siemens actually likes to come short and get it off the defender, which you're saying was Maddison's, possibly the problem with Maddison. We still don't necessarily have someone, this whole Palhinha is not a progressive passer. I'm not sure where at the moment we're creating chances from. Should it be from deep? But then problem is Richarlison doesn't hold the ball up. Solanke's probably better at that. It's getting the ball forward into someone who is going to make something happen. And who's that player? Simons, but he's playing on the left.
I think it also will help once Solanke comes back into that team.
Yeah.
You know, when he can hold the ball up, and then you've got runners that will go and beyond him, whether that's Kudus, whether that's Simons, whether that's Kola Mawani, that will suddenly open up a load of space. Then the defenders don't know who they've got to go with, whether they've got to drop, whether they've got to stay. You know, and then I think that will give us a bit more.
We're going to talk to Adam Virgo soon about Spurs and about Brighton. Let's give props to the defence though. Like as Frank said, and it's 4 clean sheets in 5. It's 4 wins in 5. We're seeing the fruits of Van der Ven and Romero. Everyone touched wood, being fit and playing. I didn't really feel... They had a couple of chances. Didn't feel threatened by West Ham. Didn't really feel threatened by Villarreal at 1-0. They had that free kick, but that happens. That is great to see, no?
I think the biggest thing from the defending, which I've noticed, and as much as it pains me to say it, we've said this about Arsenal before. Arsenal enjoy defending. They relish it. They're happy to defend. And for the first time the other day, I know we would have liked to have killed the game off, but it looked like they were happy to go, you know, we're happy to, you know, defend. They looked happy doing it. We didn't really come under threat. I know they had a few half chances.
Well, they didn't have a shot on target.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, Romero and Van der Ven, just absolutely brilliant. I actually think both of them were quite shaky in the first half. Both of their distribution was poor. Really poor, although everyone was poor.
But I also think that's down to no one showing or...
But, well, Romero, he did that ball for the goal against Burnley where he played it into Sarr and then he laid it off, or played it into Richarlison. But he was doing a few of those balls where he's whacking it in someone and it's great, it hits your target, but it's really difficult to take down. It was giving him a hopeless challenge. Yeah. But both of them, I mean, I see someone saying before we should rest Van der Ven. I mean... I know we need to keep them fresh.
Well, he can not play.
Maybe Bodo Glint would be a game where on a plastic pitch you might say to Van der Ven.
I watched them last night.
But we can't be resting them two. We just can't be. We absolutely can't be. But those two are so good together.
They are so good together, but I think we do need to protect them a little bit, or especially Van der Ven a little bit more.
Well, if there's the odd few games, I think I was looking at the fixture list. Once the season gets a little bit deeper, we've got a few of those home Champions League games either side of North London Derby and Chelsea and City and PSG. That's when I think we'll do it.
You can rotate in the Champions League a lot more now because you've got 8 games.
Well, it's low pressure. You know, I'm not saying they're givens, but I think it's Copenhagen and Slavia Prague. That is a kind of game. If you can't, make a defensive change and play Dancer in, what are we doing here? Seriously, come on.
Well, last year, we looked at this previously, but I'll just say it again.
But this is the thing, as George Pena says, as much as I'm saying Van der Ven should play this is what happens. You get players like Porro, who in January is absolutely knackered. Kulusevski, knackered.
You only need 11 points based on last year, probably 12, to get through the Champions League group stage.
That's to get
into the round of 6, get into the playoff. Yeah, but at the risk of damaging everyone by trying to get to 16, 17, 18 points, which we could do.
Well, I'm not being funny. If we beat Bodo Glimt, we should be fine. Minimum there already after 2 games. Without counting our chickens, 6 points with
a Monaco and then Copenhagen.
I mean, Monaco, Frankfurt, and Dortmund are all really winnable games. Let alone 2, which should be gimme home games.
Look at the teams that finished in that bottom 9th, 24th last season: Dortmund, Real Madrid, Bayern, PSG. Whatever happened to them? Juve, Man City. Doesn't really matter. You've got an extra 2 games, but you don't have to go hell for leather, like you did in the previous group stage, where you'd really have to possibly battle to get through. You don't have to.
No.
Adam Virgo's
here.
You
can also get a bit unlucky and end up playing one of them in the playoff rounds.
Of course.
Like
Adam Virgo's here. He's in his car. Can you hear me, Ad?
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me, boys?
Yes, great. I was looking forward to your Spurs backdrop with was it the Gaza shirt or whatever it was you got at home?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Well, I had a baby. Well, my wife had a baby yesterday, so I'm actually outside the hospital right now.
Oh, wow. So. Congratulations.
I don't know if you can see the car seat in the back, right at the back. So she's in today. So, but when Spurs come calling, I have to come and leave the family behind. So I'm great to be on the show.
James, the producer, says, congratulations on the baby. He's desperate for Ariana Grande tickets. Can you get him any? He's sat in the other room, the producer, trying to get Ariana Grande. Exactly. Right, let's talk about Brighton. We'll come to Spurs shortly. I was talking to a couple of Brighton fans on the way in. I'm looking at their model, and it's really to be praised. But I'm just wondering, they've had an inconsistent...
Recording in progress.
They've had an inconsistent start to the season. I'm just looking at their model, signing players that I've not even heard of. I'm football statistician. Some of the times they're buying these players, I've never seen them play. It's to be admired, but is it starting to hold them back a little? They're not signing experienced players, and maybe they need to do a little bit more of that.
Yeah, it's a great point that everything's great until the things start slowly going wrong. So they've gone with the manager, young manager that saw last season some inexperienced mistakes that he was making, and he almost seemed to rectify his mistakes just in the nick of time by making the right substitutions. I think about the Spurs game last season. I think about the Manchester City game last season where they were losing 2-0 up against Leicester. I mean, there were so many games last season where you look at tactics and you look at things like that sometimes did cost them points. It's the first time probably since the season they got promoted, because you just never know with a newly promoted side how they will adapt to the Premier League. The Brighton fans are a little bit unsure how the side's going to do this season. I think with the new players that they've brought in, and I totally agree with you, John, they're very, very unknown. Boskagli is probably the one that everyone may know, but he's not going to be a regular starter. So you're bringing in players, apart from De Kuiper from Club Brugge, it's more or less the same squad from last season. So you're going to have to look at the players that they brought in last season to really now start producing. But it does look a little bit thin. If they lose key injuries to key players, then I'm not too sure those players that they have signed are ready enough to come in and play 25, 30 Premier League games.
And what is the mood at Brighton? you've probably played at 3 different... the club has been at 3 different stadiums in the last 15, 20 years. Is it very much still, this is great, we're playing City, we're playing United, we're playing Arsenal, we're playing Spurs? Or actually, we've had a taste of European glory, we want that again and again and again?
Yeah, I mean, it's the European journey was one of those things that was such a big measure for the club to get into Europe. And then when you get the likes of Marseille, and then you get the likes of Ajax, and you get the likes of Roma, who doesn't want to be playing against those sides every Wednesday, Thursday, or whenever the competition will start playing? And then I thought they probably felt last season with the amount of players that they signed in the summer, what I felt they learned from that Roma game when they got beat heavily, they didn't have a good enough squad for Europe and the Premier League. And that's why they signed so many players last season. They'd spent the most that they'd spent. But I think the general move for Brighton fans now is like, okay, we're an established Premier League side. We get good recognition for the players that we sign and the players that we sell. We get an identity of playing good football. But I think now they've had that little taste is actually we need to now go on to that next level and maybe finish in the top 8 and start pushing for those European places. And there is sometimes that little bit of frustration now that I've probably seen for the first time creeping into the fans a little bit, that they've kind of bided their time with the new model and everything that's going forwards. And it's now like, right, are we going to be competitive or are we going to be the same every season? Good plaudits, do okay, sell players for 30, 40, 50 million and sign unknown players. And I just think they're just maybe getting a little bit edgy with that.
Adam, just touching on what you said before about the European campaign, was last season a bit of an opportunity missed with obviously Spurs and United miles away from it? I know they ended the season really well, but there was a period in sort of March, April when they looked like they could really sort of push towards the top 6. I know they just missed out by a few points, but was that sort of looked as an opportunity missed not to be playing in Europe this season?
Yeah, I think publicly, probably not. I think within the camp, probably yes. I think that they will always put on the shield of like, look, we're still in progression. We've got a young manager. But I think the point I just alluded to there, the lessons that were learned from the European campaign is that they did not have a good enough squad to compete with the Premier League and deal with Europe. They went and spent over 150 million. Jorginho, Ruta, players like that coming in, spending 40s and your 50 millions that they never were spending before. And I really felt that that was a signal to say that they need an instant impact, that we need to get back into Europe. So I do think it's an opportunity missed. Whether it was going to be the Conference League, I still think that's a good enough standard for Brighton to still be competitive in. I think that's a competition that is built for teams like Brighton. Yeah. So I do think deep down that was probably an opportunity missed from them last season. Whether they'll say that publicly, probably not. But I think in-house, I think they were slightly frustrated that European football wasn't achieved.
Adam, I just wanted to ask you about the manager, Hertzler. Just wondered, obviously he's a young, ambitious manager. You've had previous managers that have maybe been a bit old, a bit more experienced, like De Zerbi or Potter. Do you think he's the man to take you forward and kind of be successful there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I still think there is question marks about him. We can talk about Tottenham soon, but you kind of see an identity with managers. You look at Manchester United at the moment. The manager's saying one thing, but the team's doing another thing. And I think there are times when you see Brighton play and you think, wow, this is really. And then there'll be other times where it's just like they're just too inconsistent. And you will get that with young squad of players, that you will get these inconsistent performances from them. I still watch Brighton and I don't watch them and go, how do they play? This is the type of football that they go for. It's still very, very hit and miss. And I think he's had to adjust the way that he's wanted to play with this high line. He's had to adjust that throughout the time. So I don't think the players were comfortable with that. Is he the long-term? Personally, for me, and this is me speaking honestly, I think he will do okay here. I think you may see him in a club or two time really stand out with a different foundation around him. But I think whether or not he's going to be here in the next 2 to 3 years, time will tell. But this will be a challenging season for him, considering how you've seen how inconsistent they have been this season.
All that said, they're a tough side, right? I mean, they've still got some top players, and it's going to be difficult for us on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, we don't tend to have a good record, against Brighton anyway. I think I went last when Harry Kane scored I think it was 100th or something, a particular goal that he scored. I was sitting behind Estepinian's strike last season that went straight in the stanch. So it was kind of like, I've not really had too many memories and good memories. I'm there Saturday as well. So I'm hoping for a better performance, but they're always a tough outfit, Brighton. They seem to save their best football for not the bigger teams, but the teams that kind of come onto them a little bit more, that kind of want to take them on at their own game. And Tottenham will certainly want to try that away from home. But this will be a tough game because Manchester City have gone there. A really good second half from them that got them the 3 points. They were comfortable against Fulham, but a set play towards the end and late goals, which they've conceded a lot under Fabian Hertzler, was a downfall of that. So they could have had 3 points in one game and maybe none in the other. So going there on Saturday, I think it's going to be it certainly will be a tough game for Spurs.
I want to ask you about Spurs. You are a Spurs fan. How have you seen it with the change from Frank? But I also want to ask you as a player, when a manager comes in players are going to have some players will like the manager that left, and some players will not like the manager that's left. Is it? They're all human. These guys are just human. But will players sometimes hang on? Do you know in your situations, players have hung on and not played for a new manager? What's it like when a new manager comes in?
Well, it always seems to me that there's a new opportunity that's going to be given to every single player within that squad. If I use my own experience, I didn't play very much under Steve Coppell. I went out on loan to a couple of clubs, and then Mark McGee came in, and I was playing within 2 games. And nothing had changed in my training or my attitude. It was just a matter of opinion. I think there'll be certain players that will maybe looking for an opportunity. If you take like Richarlison, maybe that seems to be getting a little bit more from Thomas Frank than maybe what Andrew was getting out of him. But I think the players will always look at this as a fresh opportunity and a fresh chance for me to impress the new manager. But when you're playing at a top side like Tottenham and you've got top players, the positions become more and more hard because there'll probably be 5 or 6 guaranteed starters already. And it's up to kind of those kind of players in and around the other positions to take that opportunity, like Jed Spencer's done in that opportunity there. The centre halves are pretty solid. Right back's a pretty solid position. Midfield could be rotated a little bit, but not too much. So it's going to be difficult for those fringe players to be coming in because Thomas seems to, he likes a set way that he likes to play. But a fresh manager gives fresh opportunities. And I think players will certainly have to take that. Whether they can do or not will be down to their day in, day out performances in training that we don't see every week. The manager will look at their attitudes. The manager will see about their personnel and everything, and he'll make his own opinion on that. A bit like what Ruben Amorim's done at Manchester United with those 5 players. He's kind of come in, you're not for me, and out you go. Whether that's right or wrong, the manager will have to take the brunt of that. But a fresh chance will always be welcome from every single player. And sometimes those established players may be thinking, well, hold on a minute, I've now got to prove myself again to the new manager why I should be a regular starter.
And Frank in general, the right man?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you never know with new managers. I think what I like about it is that I think the PSG performance, I thought you saw something there that you felt that there was something nice happening. The players seem to love him, which is a really, really good thing. And I don't want him to be known as a little manager that's just come from a little club, because he's done a remarkable job there. And, you've seen, good managers come from those kind of smaller clubs that have really shown their worth. In the past. So I think it's just one of those things where, like Eddie Howe would be another example, would be those good managers there. I like what he's doing. I think clean sheets last season was an unheard of thing, apart from when Ange decided to do it in the Europa League and actually ended up winning it because of that. Yeah. But when you're conceding a lot of goals and you're losing a lot of games, your defence is the first thing that you need to look at. And I think when you've got a fit back 4 that we've got and working as well as they are, we're going to be very, very difficult to break down. And, the Villarreal game the other night was one of those games that could have gone either way. But I like what he's doing. But I think with Thomas, the way that he's playing, I feel that he needs probably another 2 transfer windows to really get his type of players in to make a difference to the style of play that he wants to bring to Tottenham.
And on your travels as a co-commentator now, what have you seen of Kolo Muani and Simons?
Yes, to Kolo, I've saw a lot of when he was in France. The problem with him was that PSG were going for the kind of the Galactico Real Madrid model with your Messi's, Neymar's and Mbappe's, that on EAFC, they're brilliant for your online team. When you're playing in real life, then you've got that difficult position. And the problem was that when Poch was manager there, he didn't want to bring those players off. He couldn't bring them off because of the attitudes that they had, really. So I saw him when he went to Juventus and he made an immediate impact. And what I love about him, which Spurs fans will certainly see, he can stretch play. I think Solanke and Richarlison want to come towards the ball. They want to play in front of the back 4 or the back 3, whatever it is, into feet. I mean, Solanke can run the channels a little bit, but he's not got that pace really. But I think Kolo is a player that will stretch play, and he's kind of got that pace about him. Not like a Darwin Nunez, but that kind of thing that for a defender, you're going to be like, stop running these channels, stop running in behind. And he's quick. But I really, really like him. I think it's a good bit of business from Tottenham, because what it does bring is just something different within that forward line for him to lead. He's a decent finisher. I wouldn't say he's a natural finisher, but he's a very, very good player that now at the age that he is should be finding the back of the net and kind of taking those chances now at his age on a more consistent level. Simons, again, was another one. I think if he was coming through the PSG youth team now, or the youth team ranks, he'd be playing under Luis Enrique, because the way that PSG have gone down that road now of young players that are coming in, and maybe not the biggest names. But I think the goal against England in the Euros, I think, really shows what he's all about. And what I like about him is that he picks up really, really good positions. And he's a counter-attacking player, which Thomas will certainly want with the likes of Kudos moving forward with those realms. So maybe the physicality of the league might be different for him to get used to. But I remember when Leandro Trossard came in at Brighton, he looked weak. Didn't look strong enough. And then he just built up and got used to the Premier League. And, you know, as you've seen, he's become a very, very effective player. But I like the two signings. I think that they're the type of signings that we need, and I think that's the kind of direction that Spurs will need to go into. And I'm really happy with the business. Maybe another one should have come in over the summer, but we're Tottenham, don't we? We don't make things easy in the transfer market.
And we did this last time you were on, but for those who didn't listen, 8th of January 2005, as a Spurs fan playing at White Hart Lane, what are your memories of that FA Cup tie?
It's the most proudest day of my career, really, because you're kind of in a catch-22 where the FA Cup was drawn on TV. You didn't have social media. So when my dad rings me and says, guess who we've got? Because I forgot the draw was on. So I was just like sat at home, and he rings me and goes, oh, you've seen the FA Cup draw? And I'm like, oh no, who have we got? And he went, have a guess. And I went through all the teams, and I went, Tottenham. And he went, yeah. I said, oh, not at White Hart Lane. And he went, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. It was just like, it was just a real mixed emotions, really. I saw the Grimsby Town goalkeeper talk the other day. He was a Man United fan, and I think he said, like, I'm a bit mixed with him. I'm pleased we won, but I'm annoyed that that we've knocked out Manchester United. But it was just one of those experiences that, well, it's just one of those things that as a fan, I made the most of that day. I probably more was a fan than I should have been as a player, really. But I was just really pleased to meet all the players. I mean, once the game started, it all changed. But I got Jermaine Defoe's shirt afterwards and got a really nice message from him, which was always really nice. Like, a few of my friends were Tottenham fans as well, and I always look back on that day as, apart from my debut, that's the game that I look at the most, the one that I enjoyed. Even though we lost to a brilliant Robbie Keane goal, it was an amazing day that I still look back fondly on over my career.
Amazing. Ad, we'll let you go and see your wife and your new baby, but quick prediction for Saturday.
I think I'll go 2-0 Spurs.
Wow, another clean sheet, 5 and 6. Amazing. Adam, thank you so much for coming down from the hospital ward to speak to us. Really appreciate it, and congratulations.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Congratulations again, mate.
Cheers. Take care.
Cheers, Adam.
Bye-bye.
Bye. That's commitment. So let's go
brilliant,
glory.
isn't
Yeah, wonderful.
Do you know what I was just thinking when he was saying that? Would you want to play against Spurs? Like, I know it's a different mindset as a player, because your loyalties towards a club probably slightly wear off, because you almost become a fan of the club that you play for, because you want them to.
You have to.
But if we were in our mindset,
you have to do it.
And you I was a League Two player. Would you really want to?
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
Would you want to knock Spurs out?
You have to, don't you?
It felt like that was the perfect result for him. He played Spurs. I think it was 2-1. Spurs went through.
Yeah.
Got Defoe's shirt.
Yeah, exactly. What a great.
Would you play for Arsenal? You have to. You can't even Gary, bless him, would sit here and say, you.
Yeah, but you listen to someone like Jason Cundy, right? And I've spoken to him about it, and he's so negative about his time at Spurs.
Because he was not very good at us.
Do you think he hated Spurs that much? I reckon he hates Spurs more now because he was crap and we gave him some stick.
I don't know. He's a massive Chelsea fan, and obviously there's that rivalry. But then, they've paid your wages for however long. They've been part of your career. Surely there should be some sort of affection there. But
I don't
isn't.
I don't think there's any affection when it's just your job and you never liked them in the first place. Just got to get on with it.
Go.
It's like Darren Bent. He's now on TalkSport, isn't he? And he's, did we know he was an Arsenal fan years ago? He was, now very pro-Arsenal, and he obviously played for us. Yeah. That's maybe why he didn't score as many goals as he should have.
Oh, you think that miss against Portsmouth?
Yeah, maybe he did it on purpose.
Stephen Bruton, if you're good enough to play for Arsenal, you're good enough to play for anyone. So no way. Yeah, that's a fair point. Not the only person to play at White Hart Lane on this pod. Did you score there this season or in the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
Not White Hart Lane.
Well, the new stadium.
Yeah, it was good.
Almost a bigger crowd than there was.
I scored twice, actually.
Tuesday night. You scored twice?
I scored twice.
Aren't you a goalkeeper?
I'd be our joint top scorer this season.
Aren't you a goalkeeper?
I am.
Wow. Was it an own goal like the Villarreal guy? All right, Brighton. Let's look ahead quickly before we go. All that said about my thoughts on their transfer structure, and they should buy players with 100, 150 appearances more than they do these kids I've never heard of. Got some good players, and they cause us problems. Like Bournemouth, we don't play well against busy, and Brighton are busy.
Yeah, I think they'll stretch us. They'll make it difficult for us, especially in the wide areas. They're very good. I do feel more positive that now we are going to be more defensively solid.
Yeah.
Just going back a few years, do you remember every time we would go and watch Spurs and they would lose the ball, or do something stupid, or gift the possession away, we'd go, oh, they're going to score now. And it was always going to be us making a mistake. It wasn't that the opposition had to work really hard to do something. We would just make it easy for them. And the other night against Villarreal, when we lost possession in the middle of the park, we just worked hard and we got it back. But
we were also nicely covered as well,
exactly.
weren't we?
That's the point now. There's a structure to it.
Frank said we kept giving the ball away. Wasn't it funny? Ha ha. And I'm glad he picked up on that. But actually, every time we gave it to them, they literally gave it straight back to us. We were handing them to get it back.
It was one period which was Sunday League, wasn't it? It was awful. Bentancur played this horrible pork ball in the middle, and their guy played an even worse one.
But you're right. I feel confident we're winning it back, and I think Van der Ven said it. We're defensively minded first, and you have to start from the back. But Brighton will come and play, which will probably help us.
Yeah.
But they're busy, and the Bournemouth game is sticking in my mind, and it could.
I don't think Brighton are as good as Bournemouth or as dangerous.
Yeah.
They don't have.
I think we can deal with tricky wingers. I just don't think we can deal with really pacey, strong wingers. And I think that's kind of the difference with Matoma versus a Semenyo or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
that Minte though is really good as well. He was brilliant against us last year.
No Hinchelwood though. Did he score 4 goals against us last season or something, or 3? He's out for about 8 weeks. The left back's injured.
He scored 2 on the last day of the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
We went 1-0 up with Solanke, and then they scored 4.
Didn't they get a penalty and they didn't let him take it?
Yeah, they did.
His dad or uncle, Adam Hinchelwood, played.
Do you know what? They're one of those.
Talking.
They're one of those teams, Brighton.
Still talking. Just so you know, Adam Hinchelwood played in that game that Virgo played in.
Yeah, I know. You just said that.
I hadn't finished.
Oh, go on, man.
I finished now.
I forgot what I was going to say anyway.
Oh, sorry.
They're a kind of team, Brighton. I feel like whenever we play them, you feel like we could beat them by a few, or it could be trouble. Every time we go to Brighton, a bit like last year. I remember that chance Brennan Johnson had at 2-0. If we scored there, we could have won 4-5, and then we ended up losing. I feel like that's a bit like what Brighton are like. We always have tight games against Brighton. I don't know if we've beaten them more by more than a goal since they've been in the Premier League.
That's a good question.
A lot of them are. Oh, we beat them 2-0 away actually once. Ignore me, but a lot of them are really tight games often.
All right, and what would you do with a team?
Good question.
Tough, isn't it? It's just a lot of players, which is great, but you've got to rotate.
I think we discussed it earlier. I think I'd be tempted to bring in a Dogie at left back and push Spence across to the right. I'd say you've got to play Palhinha in the middle with Sarr, and then ideally Simons in the middle, and then it's one of Tell.
I don't think he's going to play Simons in the middle yet.
I think you've got to. I just think you take so much away from his game that.
I think Jake's right. I think it'll be Wolves at home that might see that.
The only thing I'm thinking about, just back to Spence and Udogie, is those are the two that I can see playing against Doncaster as well.
But then do you not bring Davies in at left back against Doncaster?
I think Davies will play. I don't know. We're not going to play Van der Ven and Romero, just for example. You think that to be fair, maybe the back four could be Udogie, Danso, Davis, and Gray.
When against Doncaster?
Against Doncaster.
Yeah, someone's saying here bring. I think George is saying bring in Danso. Carlos is right. Brighton play right up.
Not Danso for this week. I'm sorry.
You can't relax against Brighton. This is not a game to start bringing in.
No, not after 4 games.
Half,
you know, if we're 25 games into a season in the Champions League and FA Cup and League Cup semi-final, you can't be Van der Ven on the bench 4 games into a Premier League season. I'm sorry.
No, and also the pace that they've got top. No. I think you need that covering kind of pace and challenges from Van der Ven.
So the 2 centre halves should start.
Yeah.
Arguably the fullbacks could rotate. I think it's a game for Palhinha.
Yeah, definitely.
Personally, and I would play Bergvall and Sarr, and that means Siemens has to, because I think you need legs against Brighton. We missed legs against Bournemouth in Bergvall. I would play Siemens on the left, Kudus on the right.
Do you play Tell up top or do you play Richarlison up top?
It's going to be Richarlison.
Yeah, I think
Tell
it's going to
will
be
play in the cup.
Richarlison.
But I think, I thought Tell did okay against West Ham. I mean, he didn't set the world on fire, but...
He just doesn't look like a Premier League centre forward.
I said this last week. I had a bit of a pop in for having 8 touches in the first half. Then Richarlison came on and had 2 touches in 20 minutes. Yeah, I know we were playing walking football, but he maybe should have got involved more. Richarlison didn't have a great game on Tuesday night. Is it a tough team to play out front in, do you think?
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think it will be if we were talking about, a few of the changes that will happen. But right now, yeah, it is. If you actually look at, a lot of our chances are coming from sort of crosses and set pieces. There's not a lot. We had, apart from Johnson against Burnley in 5 games, we had a one-on-one. As a striker, had a one-on-one. Has anyone got through in behind?
No, but we don't really play like that anyway anymore.
No, but I think there will be more fluidity and kind of interchanging of players. When you've got Xavi and Kudus and whoever, they're going to be drifting and making it difficult for defenders to pick them up. At the moment, it's too static.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're helping our centre forwards. I don't think they're helping themselves, in fairness. But I think it will change a lot when Solanke comes back and when we've had a few more games with some of the new signings.
And as we said half an hour ago, Frank's had this squad post-internationals now for a week. He will definitely... it's not even fix it's the wrong word, but it's brilliant. Again, we're going to get comments, oh, you're moaning, you've won 4 out of 5. No, we're just looking at it going, how do we have a little bit more thrust going forward? And Frank has said it too, and he'll absolutely be looking at it. I'm not worried at all.
That's a good point about Tell, isn't it, as well? I think they've got, is it Van Hecker and Dunk?
Yeah.
He wouldn't get much out of them, I don't think, Tell. Whereas Richarlison...
We need to play round them. They're very slow, Van Hecker and Dunk. And if they bring in that Basalia, he's not the quickest.
I feel like this could be a game for Kudus and Xavi to really come alive.
They'll get space.
On the counter, I can see that.
Yeah, they'll get space.
You see it, don't you, with Brighton? How many times do you watch Brighton? Especially in home games.
Big
and
empty
they come
spaces.
out and massive spaces, especially down the right. Is it De Kuiper? Is he injured?
He's the one who... No, I think who's the one who came off against Bournemouth? Yeah, it was him.
That's where you want to see Saar as well, Baston.
And
just
Saar,
kind of going
and that's
past.
why what we're talking about, saying, let's play Siemens in the middle. I see someone saying Saar might need a rest. You can't not play Saar in this game.
Rest him for a week.
You
Rest him for a week
not
after
play.
this game.
Yeah, exactly. Wolves at home would be a game not to play Saar. You wouldn't need Saar. That would be a perfect game to play Xavi in the middle. But I agree. These type of games are perfect for Saar.
Saar's
Galloping into that.
Yeah,
De Kuiper came off against Bournemouth.
But then you need his legs as well to be able to get back
Correct.
the other way and help you
100%.
defensively.
100%. This should be Saar's kind of game.
Could be Johnson's game. George Penny, I know someone good on the counter, loves a goal at the back post. We've got options, and that's great. I think he just needs to find the right balance.
I mean, would you ever consider playing Kudus in the middle and playing Johnson on the right? Or is that just completely just saying no?
He can play centrally. A lot of these sort of wingers nowadays can drift inside. I don't see it yet.
The thing is, when he can go either way, when he drops his shoulder and he goes down the line, or he cuts back onto his other foot. I just wonder if he was more centrally and he was doing that.
Well, then who plays on the right?
Johnson.
Oh, Johnson.
Need a bit more from Kudus. I'm a massive fan. I've been absolutely raving over him, and I think he's
brilliant on
He's
Tuesday.
absolutely brilliant until the final third.
Yeah.
I saw someone compare him a bit to Dembele, the way he sort of looks the absolute part, but then when he gets into that, I know Dembele.
Not Ousmane Dembele, Moussa Dembele.
Yeah, which is a good comparison. He was doing things the other day. Players couldn't get near him.
He's so
he was
strong.
Walking past players.
So strong.
And I love him. I wanted him desperately, but he needs to give a little bit more. Since that Burnley game, his end product has been a little bit poor.
I enjoyed the
Burnley game. It wasn't even that wonderful, was it? I mean, Richarlison
he sort of
just
dinked
turned
2 crosses over. Yeah, he turned the
something.
second one, and the first one was sort of he just whacked it into the box and hoped for the best.
I enjoyed the West Ham fans all week saying they didn't care about Kudus, and even post-match don't care about Kudus, but everyone started their blogs or podcasts talking about Kudus, but they didn't care.
When you feel the need to say you don't care, you really care. You do.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up with a prediction for Brighton and Hove Albion against Tottenham Hotspur.
I'm going to say 2 on Tottenham.
I'm going to go 1-1 again, unfortunately.
We had the same prediction on Tuesday.
In fact, no, I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. I'm going to have a little bit more faith in us.
I'm going to go 1-1. Stephen Bruton says 2-2. Ronnie says 2-0 Spurs, which is what Adam Virgo had to say. A reminder, and I forgot to put the picture in here, so James is going to have a go at me, but we have got the Mickey van der Ven shirt to give away at some point this year. If you live in the UK, you will have that before Christmas. You've got to be a Spurs member, not a subscriber. Subscribing is great, but become a member and you can win the Mickey van der Ven shirt. I think that's it. Anything else to report? Any other news?
No.
Nothing you want to get off your chest?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Did any of the other teams play this week? Women?
No.
Although our under-19s
Oh, yeah.
smashed
they
Villarreal 5-3.
Oh, yeah. Great point.
What's it? Is it Luca Williams?
Luca Williams
Scored
Barnett.
again.
He looks incredible,
And
doesn't
then
he?
I think he got injured because there was a few people saying, I hope he's all
Scored
right.
quite late though, didn't he?
He scored
Yeah.
a lovely goal. I don't know if you saw it.
When he-
Yeah, he sort of fainted back in.
Yeah. He looks an absolute talent.
Yeah,
It's
good
good
for them, those kids.
Do they play all the
Yeah,
teams?
it's symmetrical. The
Yeah.
draw's completely. They don't have a draw in that.
Right.
They just
just
played.
completely-
So if we're away to Bodo, they'll go
they'll
to
go
Bodo.
to Bodo.
I
Yeah.
assume they get on the same flight.
Right. All right. Ian Sinfield 3-1 Spurs. Dean S. Brighton 0 Spurs 1. George says 2-1 Johnson again. And then Stephen Bruton closes it with ole ole. Yeah, you can't just say Johnson again and not finish it with ole ole. Sorry, that is the sentence. All right, James has gone to play paddle. I don't know if he's got his Ariana Grande tickets, so he's trusted me with ending this stream. So I'm going to press end stream, and then I think it says, "Are you sure you want to end stream?" So I've got to press this button twice. I'm going to press it twice. We'll see you next Monday after we've beaten Brighton with another clean sheet. We'll see you soon, and up the Spurs.